Good evening. Today we're actually looking at a computer monitor. It's a Samsung, what is it, 245T, I think. But anyway, the light just kicks on, the power light just kicks on, but the monitor itself doesn't kick on. And a little bit of research says that that's usually the power supply board and capacitor issues. Being manufactured in 2008, that was the capacitor play gears for computers. These caps, I believe, were made by Sam Young. And they fall into that time period. Now the tops aren't blown, but they do have normal markers on them. But it looks like the bottoms are swelled. These things rock way too easy, and I'm just not comfortable with the air gap underneath a lot of these. That's not normal. Normally they press these things down tight, 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 with the exception of a few of them. Like we got a rocker over here. That one's a little bit of a rocker. Now this one's glued, so I can't tell. But like in the middle, some of these, the leads were short, so they sat them up, or the leads were too close together. But a few of these caps, there's some really weird things about them. Like this very high voltage cap, it's like the shrink wrap just shrunk away. That's weird. Or something's popping apart down here. It looks like there might be a little bit of a bulge in that big puppy over there. I'm going to take the values down for this. We're going to get us some caps. We're going to see what happens. You can tell where the highest voltage is in this power supply because the board is darkened and all of the dust bunnies love to go there. And this actually has Ode to Cigarettes in it, so you can tell the client is a smoker. But not nearly as bad as some of the smoking units I've had before. So, boy, why in the world happened to the shrink wrap on that high voltage cap? This particular high voltage cap is glued down very, very well, and I can't read the value on it. So we're going to do the slice and pull trick on it so I can get the value and do a recap. For those of you not familiar with the slice and pull, we do this, we will slice the shrink wrap, and then we can tip the cap up and pull the shrink wrap off the glue, hopefully without demolishing the board. We'll see in a little bit, probably a couple days when the caps come in. Okay, now we're back 2-3 days later. To get this cap up off the board, because they so lovely glued it down there, I actually sliced the cover and then sat it up, so that one's free. The rest of these should be free, and we just need to change the caps. We got replacement caps in here from our friends in Thief River Falls. That would be DigiKey. What a great name. You think the electronic prices are too expensive, you're buying from a place called Thief River. That's kind of funny. Okay, so the bottom of this board seems to have 3 little clip tabs things, so we'll just squeeze them with our needle nose plier, push them through. There's one. Let us squeeze and push that through if we can. See if that one will go kindly. That one goes. And then there's one more. Where the heck is that? It's underneath this inductor where I can barely get to it. Thanks, guys. There we go. So that's off, and now we're going to begin our desoldering mission. Let's see, we're going to start with these in the corner. These are 1000 mic. They're 1000 mic 35 volts, so just thumb through our stack of stuff here. Let's see, that's probably not it. I think there's 3 of these if I remember right, so that's 1000 volt, or 1000 mic, 1000 microfarad 35 volt radial. So we'll start with these 2, and when we take our first one off, we will double check. So it appears that the negative lead is going to the outside, stripe out that way. So when we take these off, we'll verify that. I do have my trash can sitting by for the desoldering iron so I can blow it out. Just come down here. And hopefully that'll pop right out now that we got her desoldered. Feels like it wants to, and it does. So there's our suspect cap. The reason I say suspect is the shrink wrap on some of these was definitely shrunk up. They look like they had swollen and failed, a few of them. So if you have all the same caps from the same year and you got one or two of them going bad, the rest of them are probably soon to follow. So somebody was selling a cap kit for this on America's Biggest Garage Sale, eBay, and I think they wanted $17 plus freight, so it was going to come out to be about 22-ish. This one cost about $23, $24 to buy the Nichicon caps that I knew I wanted. So those are our suspect caps, and we know which way the polarity went because we remembered. And this board is marked. That board is clearly marked, which is kind of nice. So we'll stick our caps on here, respectful of the polarity, and these are a perfect fit. Lucky me. There are certain part types and sizes, and you can pick your electronics based on the sizes, and the more you do that, the better you get at picking them out that way. Give these a little bit of a pinch that way. They stay in place. And we'll grab our roll of solder and our iron and give that a little bit of a solder down. Got to make sure we touch both the pad and the lead. And in that case, I missed the pad, so the solder was only adhering to the iron. And there we go. Now we got it. Pad lead, all is well. These things should be still sitting pretty darn close to flush to the board. Not bad. I could repinch that one a little bit tighter, or we can put a little hot snot on that to keep it from moving. But that looks good. So 2 down, a heck of a lot more to go, and then we'll check it out to see what we got to go. So those 2 are done, and since the new caps are black and the old were brown, this will be easy to figure out. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one looks definitely deformed. 8, 9, 10, and then the big boy is 11. So there's 11 more, oh, and 12. There's 12 caps. So 12 more caps to go, and this should hopefully cure our problem. Darn it, I hope so. See you in a few minutes. Okay, so we're about halfway done recapacitating this board. I think that's a word. I made it up. Anyway, this cap was kind of suspicious. There's a couple of them that look like this. It doesn't normally show like a lot of bloating at the bottom or bloating at the top, but look what happened to the shrink wrap. On a normal capacitor, you know, the shrink wrap goes like over the top, but it didn't here. So something's going on. This might have got hot and the wrap shrinked more or something. I'm sorry, I'm coming out of frame. But yeah, something is not right here. So it was these caps and the big boy there that, with the shrink wrap doing this and kind of the way they were riding on the board, they just didn't look right, you know. And if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Okay, so all capacitors are back in place. New ones, most of them fit in there pretty good. This one I need to put a little bit of hot snot on it just to keep it from bouncing. We had to bend the leads 90 degrees because that's a real big boy. But we'll hot snot that down after we test it. So we're going to put our recapped board back in our unit here, and then we'll see what happens. Actually, prior to doing that, let's just make sure our fuses aren't shot, because then I would just frustrate myself later. So, got the beep tester. Beep on that fuse. Yep, beep on that fuse, and beep on that fuse. So yeah, our fuses are still intact. So we'll put the board back in the unit, turn it on, and see if magic happens. Okay, everybody, we missed a lot of things that happened here. I recapped the power supply board on this monitor, put it back together, and it didn't work. So I was upset, but you know, it is what it is, and I called the customer, and he politely said, please stick with me on this. This monitor is very important to what I do, and replacement cost is outrageous. Please, please, please try to work on it. So I went through the power supply circuit and checked all the resistors and all of the stuff that I can check for continuity, and looked for anything that was fried and found nothing. Now, on the back side of these power supplies, just like here, you can see how this is the inverter board. There are a ton of itty-bitty, and I'm sure they have a technical name, T something or other size, and to be honest, I don't know. I don't remember. But I work on laptops, and when we have particularly a laptop that has heated up or gotten warm, sometimes this lead-free solder will break loose. So I got the heat gun, which you can see laying down over there, and just warmed up every board. I just ran the heat gun over the board to hopefully correct any solder traces that were not working, that I could not see with my eyes. Things that I work with, like that PV mixer or tube amps, you can wiggle components and see broken solder joints. On some of this surface mount stuff, unless you've got complete and total hawk eyes, and my vision is quite good as long as I'm wearing my lenses, without extreme magnification and detailed effort, I couldn't find it. But the Hail Mary play we do on laptop motherboards is to warm them up with the heat gun, just to run it over all of the solder traces for the surface mount stuff, and then let it cool down, put it back together, and push the button. And lo and behold, I did the solder traces I could reach out here without cooking our inductors, because those are like plastic wrapped. I do not want to cook those. And I cooked the logic board, and I cooked the power supply board around all of the surface mount components on the bottom. And son of a gun, the monitor kicks on and says, no signal. Now, because this is not bolted to the back here, it needs the rear of the monitor put on before I can tip it up and show you. I will put the back on after I check it twice more, and then lo and behold, we will call this fixed. And I'm actually glad the client poked me in the ribs and said this monitor is worth more to me fixed than because replacing it is crazy. So I just kept at it, and I got it going. Okay, so I've turned the lights out so it's not glaring like crazy, but we have the HDMI logo here and check signal cable, and it's working. I can push menu and I get the menu. I can walk through and do things. It's working. Yay! So I suppose on this, the message that everybody needs to kind of get is never give up. I was actually feeling a bit burned by a few other projects, and I was concerned with these. With a lot of computer monitors, they're sort of throwaways. This one is a very high grade monitor, so it really was worth sticking with. So that's sort of what I learned, is try not to give up on it despite the fact that you really want to. So, yay, we win. Thanks for watching, and, reflowing a circuit board may save your neck when you can't find anything further wrong with it. And especially with all those surface mount things and this lead-free solder, thank you, ROHS. You know, I know they did lead-free solder to help with e-waste being toxic, but I honestly think they may have created more e-waste in general by using a solder that has less flexion. Okay, that's my preaching. Thanks, bye.